as a new bride in Sathanur. I walked hesitantly, unaware about what my future held. My uncles, my aunts, my sisters, and a few cousins, they were right behind me, carrying 2 ever-silver pots for water, one annakudai for rice, and one for curry, and a huge enesati, frying pan, to fry vada, plum, and other things. I walked, looking at the lush green paddies stretched across acres and acres of land, just like a blanket of various shades of green. As I thought silently, looking at the little streams of water gushing around, how can I be far from home when Mother Kaveri feeds us both? I shall never miss home if I drink from her generous hands that nourishes our fields and quenches our thirst. Ah, Delta, I said. What wonderful lesson Mother Kaveri teaches. She gives life to the fields to produce, gives life to man in cities and towns feeding them. If the giving was to stop, then life too would stop. Would man ever learn a lesson of selflessness from Mother Kaveri, who gave all for the man on her banks to flourish? Jaybal gave a nudge and brought me back to reality and said, "Walk now, don't stumble on another stone." There was a very jealous voice in the crowd that had gathered to welcome me. My mother-in-law was holding the arati and her name was Rukku. You know the arati? It is a plate with a little bit of red water and a betel leaf is kept, and on that camphor is kept, and they light it and it goes in circles around your face and they welcome you. It's a tradition to welcome somebody new into the house. So my mother-in-law was standing with the arati, and this jealous voice came. "Rukku, you seem to have brought home a dark girl for your fair son. My daughter would have been a fitting choice, I say." I felt a sting in the sharp words. I wanted to shield myself. I know, I'm not ugly. I am very pretty. What does complexion matter? So far nobody has ever spoken about my complexion in Kumbakonam. What kind of a place have I come to? But I guess with the love of my life standing near me, things would become better. I was waiting, and slowly Jaybal came and he told me. I knew he had sensed my uneasiness and the little bit of pain. And he told me softly, "Kalyani, always remember that you are my wife. I love you for your beautiful heart, wife. And I know I shall be a happy man with you for the rest of my life." At these words, I felt so radiant. I felt as if I was glowing, and I knew I'm going to be all right. The next day, early morning, I woke up and took out my tooth powder, my toothbrush, soap, and a cotton towel. All this I had been habituated to in Amma and Ayya's house. I went there and I was asking, where is the bathroom? People looked at me as if I had uttered an unheard, tabooed word. And then they burst into laughter, clapping their hands. Ha 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 ha, they went. I said, all I asked was a bathroom. And then somebody called out, "Hey Naina," to my father-in-law. "Can't you tell where your daughter-in-law can find a bathroom?" And they started laughing again at what I had asked as if it was some unholy joke. My mother-in-law's voice came out for the very first time. She said, well, my Marumahale, meaning daughter-in-law. We live on the banks of the river Kaveri, and that's just 5 minutes walk from our house," she said with a voice, and I could sense the sarcasm in it. "Who needs a bathroom? Here we live with nature as one. Don't separate yourself from nature. Vama, Marumahale," she said. I followed her. I had my bath and on the river banks washed my clothes, scrubbed myself, and when I was about to pack everything, my mother-in-law at once said, "What is this?" I looked at my blue toothbrush and she asked, "Ennamma idu?" I said, "Toothbrush, Atta." "ஆழம்பிடுதும் வேப்பங்குச்சியும் இல்லையாமா பல்லு விளக்க?" So she was asking me if I didn't use the banyan tree's roots or a neem stick to brush my teeth. And I said, "Illatta." "You ignorant girl. Don't you know the root of the banyan tree brings more health to your teeth than this plastic here?" And then she looked at the tooth powder box and asked, "And this?" I said, "Tooth powder." Can't you use charcoal and salt?" With this, my mother-in-law gave a heavy sigh and said, "Looks like my son is going to spend all his money buying brushes and powder. What to do?" இந்த மகாராணிக்கு வேப்பங்குச்சி அடுப்பு சாம்பல் போதாரா. And she went on talking and complaining actually. And then I realized there was a kind of a boundary with the waters, and she said, "Don't go too much there. Okay? That is the Agraharam. It is predominantly occupied by the Brahmanas. They perform their daily rituals on the coast. So be careful that you don't go anywhere near the boundary and contaminate their water. Okay? Because if anybody from this community goes there, it will be beat. Understand? Teet, you should not go. The Panchayat has banned us from going there. Get it? I thought I understood, though I didn't understand. My father-in-law was getting ready. He was sitting near the tea stall as usual, drinking his tea from an ever silver glass which was chained to the tea stall. They thought people from the lower community may steal off this 5 rupee ever silver glass and go. And they never allowed us to sit with the others on the benches because of that teet, which never existed. But anyway, my father-in-law was the most wanted man. He knew how to play the Tappu Melam. And there was a death in the village. So the community highly required his services whenever there was a death. So this time they were searching for him. Each time he took the tappu and played. Tagititatam, tagitatatam. People knew that it was someone who is carrying the message of death. And they usually gave him a rupee for his service. He used to reach the step of each person and tell them that who has passed away, and then the address of the person who has passed away, the significance of the person who has passed away, and all this message was usually conveyed by my father-in-law. So, he was a big musician in my community because we play only Tappu Melam. So, that was also very nice. And he always had 5 or 6 small boys to dance the Kuttatam. So, this time, Gopal, someone from the higher community, had died. So he had to go there and play the tappu. Tagu tagadim, jangunaka tagu tagadim. He banged his tempo and it started picking up a pace. And as his tempo increased, a shrill cry from within the house arose, and the lamentations were louder and louder and louder than ever. Wailing grew louder, and my father-in-law's beats on his tappu also became faster, and the urchins danced with such energy and mindlessness. Everybody cried, and the funeral, the mourning, happened as it was supposed to happen because of what my father-in-law did, the service. At the end of the day, Gopal's son, they came and gave my father-in-law 30 rupees and a bottle of whiskey and said, "You have done a good deed, a great deed. You have played so much beautifully. You can go." My father-in-law, he thought the money was not enough. 30 rupees he had to give the urchins who danced as well. And he scratched his head and said, I've been playing from morning, and yesterday also I went from house to house giving the message. Can I get some more money, sir? At once Gopal's son looked at him and said, "Heartless fellow, you're asking for money. Can't you see we are in mourning? Go, go." And he didn't speak another word. He went into his house. So this is how things happened around, and I understood that things were entirely different. My mother-in-law, Rukku, she did not go for work. My father-in-law, he was playing the tappu. My husband used to go to the workshop, back to Aya's workshop. And I had to be in this house, cooking and not knowing much what to do. I was thinking, probably I should also take some kind of a job. And I sat there. When Kamala, I didn't tell you about Kamala. Kamala is Jayabal's younger sister, my sister-in-law. A very nice and loving girl. Someone's support who brought me a little more stability, came near me and sat and told, Annie means sister-in-law. Ata means well. You know, we are different. Here, even to carry the dead, we don't have a proper path. We are unclean. We cannot ruin the sanctity of the higher caste as we cross their roads, their streets. We are not allowed, Annie. You should understand. Listening to this, I understood the extremity of the discrimination that existed. And I wanted to break free from the harsh reality, the new reality which was standing before me like one mighty asura. What shall I do? I did the only thing I knew. I went into my room and I took out my column book. I tried to come up with a new pattern, but nothing was coming. With a restless mind and a heavy heart, I began to etch a note and I wrote, a heart-rending story of a pariahs of Satanur. Oh, listen please to the story of my people, the people of this land. There is always a hand to care. There is always a hand to protect. There is always a hand to provide when alive. If death be upon us, there are 4 shoulders to bear. There are 8 hands to carry. I beseech you to hear. There's a part to carry our dead. Be it a cow, be it a dog, be it a bird. There is a procession with young and old who walk together mourning in procession. But here, nobody sees, nobody wants to see the corpse of a pariah carried across their divine streets. Oh please, listen to the story of my land, a story from Tanjavur district, a story from Tiruvalluvar Taluk, a heart-rending story of a pariahs of Satanur. Oh, listen, please. Leaders, they preach about changing times, endless chatter about advancements unseen. Oh, yes, they deprive us of our livelihood. Machines replace us. Robbed are we of our jobs in turn. Given free grains, labeled lazy thieves. We have heard of freedom, but our slaves are still in bondage. We perish. Even in death, we struggle to reach our graves. Carried through a path of thorny bushes, our kin have no roads to walk, bearing the burden of dead weight upon them. Oh please, Listen to the story of my land. A story from Tanjavur district. A story from Thiruvadumarudur Taluk. A heart-rending story of the pariahs of Satanur. Oh, listen, please. Don't turn away from our cry. Hear us out once. Give us a path to carry our dead. On roads we have laid down for you. It's our sweat. It's our toil. Roads you walk. Doesn't that make you unclean? I finally finished writing my lines. Want to know more of what happened? Let me meet you tomorrow and tell you.